Hello, and welcome to Real Conversations in the Quad Cities. I'm Janaea Houston. In this episode, we talk with local nonprofits about issues they are working to solve in the community. The first issue we are taking up is crime. Evan Denton and Tracy Singleton spoke about Well Suited, a nonprofit that mentors young Black boys from an early age through high school to help them see themselves differently.
Every child wants to know that there is someone behind you that wants you to succeed.
Back in 2016, Tracy Singleton saw a Facebook post that included a picture of young boys and young men dressed in tuxedos holding up the Black Power fist. It sparked a thought.
I figured this would be a long-term thing for me. Like, I would have to wait many years to see if this worked, because I was going to have to wait until they were men and they were working and successful.
The idea, Well Suited, a vision to allow young men to be an integral part of the Quad Cities community by mentoring and creating opportunities for a successful future.
We are, in our Quad Cities, we're sometimes working with 4 or 5 generations of poverty. Like, they've just not seen anything different. You have kids who have only seen their block and don't know there's a whole, not just a whole city or a Quad City, but a whole world out there.
Well Suited includes events such as Embrace Race and the I Matter Rally, various mentoring and empowerment programs.
The men would share their story of how they grew up. And the boys were growing up just like that, right? No father in the home, 8 brothers and sisters, didn't know when you're going to have your next meal, evicted, gas and lights cut off, all these challenges. But now these men were CEOs, engineers, military, teachers, coaches, entrepreneurs. So it was like the boys were able to see their future in real time.
Singleton says the volunteer interaction is important.
Specifically with Black males. There's so often negative stories, negative connotations put out, and we don't showcase or celebrate the positive stories. So if all they're seeing is negative, then that's all they know. So it's up to us to let them know, hey, we're behind you.
Well Suited is now in its 7th year, has helped hundreds of kids, and exceeded Singleton's expectations.
I mean, I am getting these small wins by seeing them doing the things that they're doing. And we have a couple that are very successful entrepreneurs that credit Well Suited for where they are today.
In Davenport, for Real Conversations, I'm Evan Denton.
The next issue we discuss is livability. I sat down with Reverend Dwight Ford from Project Now to talk about the current housing situation in the Quad Cities and how they are addressing the community's needs. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So Project Now is a community action agency that provides services to Henry, Mercer, and Rock Island County. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. So how does Project Now determine what resources the community needs?
Well, every other year we have what we call a community needs assessment. And so for us, we're malleable. Once you've seen one community action agency, that's all you've really seen. Stretched out over the contiguous United States and U.S. territories are the community action brand. Every county in this country is covered by one of our agencies. So I happen to have 3% of the state population in Illinois, and I cover the 3 counties that allow us to serve those individuals. 2 of those counties are rural primarily, and 1 is urban. What I'm doing in Mercer County may not be the same thing I'm doing in Rock Island County. What I'm doing in Henry County may not be the same thing I'm doing in Mercer. It's because of the community needs assessment. So we talk to people. Our best work is always done with and among people. We're a community action agency. Our work is, we're in the people's business. So if we're not talking to people, then we're missing human relationships. We're not social services, with all due respect for what they provide. We're really not even human services, although we provide social services and human services. We're organizers. We bring people together to solve our most pressing problems. We bring people together to solve the things that we could never solve separate and apart from each other. And that takes maximum feasible participation. What is our major problem? Poverty. It's that 7-letter word people don't want to talk about. Most politicians can't even mention that in any political stump speech because it's so polarizing. Unfortunately, people don't come to realize how much of a leveler of the playing field for all humanity poverty is. You don't have to be left-leaning to be in poverty. You don't have to be right-leaning to be impoverished. You don't even have to have a voter ID to be impoverished. You don't even have to do anything wrong to be impoverished. And so this is what our country is facing, this is what our counties are facing. But that community needs assessment is going to tell us everything. There's no beauty left in this world except in meaningful relationships, and that's what we build. It's not about pulling a ticket, go sit there, wait till we call your name. It's about our journey together. So there are people we've worked with for 20 years plus.
Wow.
And that doesn't mean they've been impoverished the whole time. That may mean that they were able to step out over a 15-year addiction, that we never stopped working with them. Now they're sober, and this is a true life story. Now they're sober, had been employed and interned with us, got their feet under them, now going out to wonderful opportunities. But it started on the other side of the desk, and we never would give up on them, even though they were struggling with an addiction that took everything, including their wealth from them.
Yeah, that's incredible, because normally you hear about places and you're really like a number, like a ticket. And
That's right.
you go back, get the help that you need, the services, and then on to the next person. But the fact that this is like community and like you really engaged and people, you stick with people for years after, like that's really incredible. I never heard of anything like that. That's awesome. Can you talk about some of the community services and housing programs that you offer?
Sure. We are very wide. When people say, why, I thought you did this. We do, but we also do this and this and this. Most people come to us from different vantage points. So if you have a child from 3 to 5 years old, you're probably going to enter into our Head Start program, which provides early childhood education at no cost to the family. And once we have that kiddo, that's the language we use for our smaller people, we say that to them with respect. Our kiddos are with us, but what makes Head Start a little different than maybe other providers, soon as your child is enrolled, you are enrolled. We take care of the entire family. So we build capacity, so they're eligible for all of our benefits and programs that we have. So Head Start, no pun intended, really does give our children a head start. It's a world-class educational initiative, up to 6 hours with us, 6 hours in classroom. Those children have a nutrition plan. We have folks making sure that what they eat is healthy for them in the developmental process. We also limit all those screen times. It is part of our commitment. We work to ensure that the family has resources so they can work with their child or children at home. We also ensure that if that family doesn't have water, doesn't have lights, every family is assigned a family service worker. So that family service worker is constantly in conversation or in the home to try to figure out how do we help and strengthen that family, because poverty disrupts education tremendously. We also have senior services. And senior services is something that makes my heart warm for those seasoned adults. It's not based upon whether or not your income is below the federal poverty level. It's actually based on age. So we are able to do certain things like the commitment to ensure that individuals are not wasting away in their homes isolated. We have an anti-isolation program that allows people to build friendships. We send devices to their home. We help them learn how to use their devices so they can connect with family in the world. We provide transportation for them. We have a Medicaid, Medicare commitment. One senior, we saved over $109,000 on a life-saving drug.
Wow.
Without our team working with them for a number of weeks to find a solution, they would not physically be with us.
Wow.
For who else can afford $109,000 for one drug that saves your life?
Yeah.
So we have those programs rolled out. And of course, many people know about our LIHEAP program, Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. The average benefit this year going out to help families was $854. Going to help somebody with a utility bill. Rental assistance, we moved $245,000 in rental assistance. We have the eviction diversion program that allows individuals to have that first hearing with the 14th Judicial Court Circuit, because it's now policy and procedure there. You come in when you be on the docket for eviction, you are assigned a mediator and us. And we pay your back debt or the rent because we want the provider of the rental property to be made whole. And we want you to have a sure footing to stand on. We 75% successful in keeping people in their homes. And during the COVID era, when people did get evicted, what helped them is that if they were evicted to non-payment or slow payment, they left with a sealed eviction so they can get a place afterward.
Wow.
Because who rents is the people that have that scar on their record in past. We have weatherization. We can close up the holes in a home where wind whips through so that people don't have to stuff shower curtains in the corners of their roofs. These are things that I've seen personally, trying to keep water and rodents from running in. We can plug up the gaps, insulate the home through weatherization. We have a wonderful commitment also of education benefits. There's scholarships to get individuals into a new career, a new educational enhancing opportunity as well. There's not much we don't do, although we don't do it all, because we need a lot of partners to pull this off. We have 134 affordable rental properties. Give you some kind of mind of what affordable rental property is. A 2-bedroom can go for $460, $480.
Wow.
Who else can do that?
Yeah, nobody.
So what we're trying to do is make sure people can build their capacity for the future. Our goal is not just to serve people in poverty, although that's part of it. Our goal is to find a way to move as many as possible up and out of poverty. I want to be judged by that.
Yeah. Wow. So you touched on poverty, and I read an article that you had partnered, or you're a member of the Racial Equity Roundtable, and you just did a study with the University of Illinois.
Did.
And you had stated that in Illinois, Black individuals and families are 8 times more likely than their white counterparts to become unhoused. Can you elaborate on why that is?
So this study here, the Black Homelessness in Illinois Structural Drivers to Inequality, is in fact not only a guidebook, but it provides an entry point into the world of homelessness in the state of Illinois. We know that the numbers have been disparate and deeply inequitable for quite some time. Illinois has done a pretty good job of keeping the overall numbers of those experiencing homelessness down. That great commitment continues. Our governor, Governor Pritzker, established the first office to prevent and end homelessness, fully authorized it to work in the interstate agency commitment with Chief Christine Haley. Our goal is to bring homelessness, or the experience of homelessness, to what we call functional zero. That means homelessness is rare, brief, and non-reoccurring. We want that same definition for poverty, by the way, as well. Our work has allowed us to build capacity of finding where are the sincere needs for the populations most disadvantaged, the Black population in Illinois. The truth is that if you happen to be a Black citizen in Illinois, you are 8 times more likely to be homeless or experience homelessness. There's only one other state above us, and that's New York, with 12%.
Yeah.
12 times rather, more likely.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of work to do. What makes this our challenge? Is it because Black folks don't work? Is it because Black folks are not trying to pull themselves up, so to speak? Is it because Black folks are not fully aware of the housing market? No. These are structural inequalities. These are drivers that are baked into the pie. When we think about what redlining did, the long history of that barred individuals from accessing home ownership, that's a wealth subtraction for generations. So we have to find a way to start with that demographic that is most disadvantaged and find a way to target them. What we want society to know, particularly Illinoisans, is that when we target a population, doesn't mean we are taking away from anybody else. We have to become much more mature in how we understand life. We have a shared existence. Dr. King would say so often, we're inextricably bound in a network of mutuality. What affects one directly affects all of us indirectly. We're all still connected. So when you have contract leasing and contract purchases where a person could pay all the way into 90% of their bill, be an hour late and lose everything. That is what racism did. That is what legalized discrimination did. And now we have so many people still disadvantaged. Another part of it is the employment realities. And so when individuals don't have the employment opportunities or are always marginalized because of still racial inequalities, who gets paid what for doing what, how can they build a economic base to be able to take care of things? There's still something in America called the working poor. Mm-hmm. People that go to work every day, 40, 50, 60 hours a week and still can't afford enough. So when you put that on top of that, evictions is ridiculous in this country. It is insulting to our body politic. When you think about who rents, more likely they're African American or black. And who gets evicted? Black, at a disadvantaged number. So every 8 seconds in this country, someone is evicted. 1 out of 5 of them is a black woman.
Wow.
Davenport, the city I love, city we work in and try to live, led the state of Iowa in evictions. When you shake the numbers, ask yourself who was evicted most and what demographic they come from.
Yeah. I think about it often. I'm thinking like when you're born black into this country, like it feels like you're automatically starting at the bottom and you have to work 10 times harder to get the same outcome. And I feel like Project Now is really that thing that black individuals need, because you can't, like I said before, you're a number at most places, but when you have that connection, that community engagement, you really feel like you're able to do everything that you can to get to where you want to be. So Project Now, I feel like is doing everything for the community. That's incredible.
Well, thank you. I'll pass it on to all those dedicated, committed, competent staff that work closest to our population. I'm thankful for what we do for the black population. I'm thankful because we learn more about our humanity when we're able to find a pathway forward. We're not simply looking for who to blame for everything. We're trying to figure out who's willing to help fix what is broken, because we're all disadvantaged. Our rural populations are catching it every and each day. They're sitting out there, they're depopulating. The largest employer in some places is a super Walmart or correctional center.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure this out. And so we believe by this study telling us the numbers, and we can't avoid the numbers, I would hope that as the Quad Cities continues to build up and out, that we would also build enough character to confront that which we look at and stare at every day, which is the inequalities that are here. This study could have been easily glossed over, but it tells the truth about the state. Not just the things we do well, but the things that we don't do well. And I'm happy because it becomes a mirror for us to stare into, to fix that which we say is not presenting the best self of us.
That's good, because I mean, I like what you said before, like having that different mindset of we're gonna do this, like kind of like not in spite of you, but like we're gonna do this because we need help and we're gonna help everybody that we can. So not having like that out to get you mentality type of thing.
Right, and you know, people ask all the time, what are poor people doing for themselves?
Yeah.
Same thing you're doing, same thing I'm doing. Making decisions based on the resources we have and the experience and the expertise and the education and understanding that we currently hold. The difference is that so many people don't have a safety net.
Yeah.
They don't have a family member that can bail them out. Over 51% of Americans right now don't have a $400 emergency fund. So if something happens and it's over $400, they couldn't even afford it. 51%. We like to tell people who you think it is not only who it is. It's us, society. It's rookie officers working the swing shifts that have a partner or a spouse and they can't afford childcare because they have 2 children. They come to us. It's military personnel on the arsenal with an insignia on their collar or their shoulder, serving the United States. It's school teachers. It's factory workers. It's those that have been recently laid off. This is what we're here for. We have a war on poverty, not a war on poor people. We got to know the difference. We're not here to always have a moral investigation that stops our immediate intervention. Why are you where you are? When the car flips upside down on a 2-lane road in the middle of the night and I'm hanging halfway out, gas is spilling everywhere, if someone pulls up, I don't want them to ask me, was I texting and driving? Although I know that is wrong. I want them to get me out. And then we can do the corrective action. What we're here for is the prevention work, keeping people as housed as long as we can, keeping people on their feet as long as we can. We're here for the intervention work, that when the world falls apart, they don't have to ask who can they call. We could have in 1 month almost 24,000 calls.
Wow.
We crashed every phone system we purchased. We had to go to a call center level.
What?
That's how many people need help.
Yeah.
The federal poverty level for an individual is $15,060. For a family of 4, that's $31,200.
Wow.
And we can serve up to 200% of that. We don't want people to do the math, let us do that. 200% of the federal poverty level, we got you. And we can do as much as we can, as long as we can with you. Our goal is to try to keep you on your feet.
So how do people find out about like the services you offer? How do they know to contact you?
So most will kind of immediately go to our website because most will look us up very quickly, or the phone call. That's how they can ask. We do additional work that is more organizing on the ground, that brings people into proximity to more resources. But going to our website at projectnow.org and learning through there or calling the headquarter number gets you a first start. If you happen to walk in, we'll take you when you come through the door. So, some places prefer that you call first or you email. No, walk in through the door. We're people-centered. Somebody will greet you, start working with you right there. If you need a food box, we don't worry about what days we have pantry. If you need food, we give it to you when you walk through the door. Because we're trying to keep people moving forward. And we can't have all of the bureaucracy and red tape that complicates everything. When a person is hungry, they're hungry. The new face of homelessness is not just the individual suffering from the traumas of the Vietnam era conflict, that because they were so maltreated returning home, that they self-medicated because of the horrors that they saw and the distance that most society kept from them. I know that's one image people have, but the new face of homelessness is a woman with 2 children in the back of an SUV, just like the one you and I drive. They got a cell phone, just like you and I do. And they sleep in a Walmart parking lot because it's well lit. And they drive to a Casey's bathroom in the morning and wash their kids up and send them to daycare, camp, or school alongside of our children. That's not something I think. It's something I know. And the data proves it. So we have to get beyond the convenient conversations. This is us. And we can do better. We brought veterans' homelessness in the Quad Cities to functional zero. Brief, rare, non-reoccurring. And we can extend that and do much more. We have a housing crisis. Housing is the anchor to all other opportunities. I don't care what you put in front of a person, educational opportunities, better job opportunities. If they don't feel secure or where they're going to lay their head at night, you're not going to have to worry about where they sit for school in the morning, because that's going to be disrupted, or where they clock in for work, because that will be eventually disrupted. So I think all of the Quad Cities should start bending itself to have a much more deeper conversation. Our friend Leslie Kilgannon in the Quad City Housing Cluster came out with that wonderful report, From Silos to Solution. And that report was issued pre-COVID, where we were 6,645 units short of affordable rental properties. We lost rental properties during COVID.
Wow.
And any given night in the Quad Cities, well over 300 people are unhoused. So what I'm asking is that we would have a deeper sense of of staring in the mirror. This isn't somebody else, it's us. What type of Quad Cities do we want? What type of commitments do we have? We have pockets of poverty that haven't changed. Why? Regardless of the politicians or elected officials are left-leaning or right-leaning. Why does poverty persist and goes uninterrupted? If you sit back and ask yourself, where are the most impoverished places? Name the city of your choice in our region. You already know. You already know what streets. You already know what side of town. Is it because those folk don't want anything better? Is it because those folk don't work hard? You know what I've discovered? Some of the hardest working people on the planet happen to be poor. Mm-hmm. They work the jobs that actually take life from them. A low-wage job should have a stamp on it. It should have a warning, maybe hazardous to your health. 800 people die a day in this country from poverty or poverty-related ailments. And why can't we talk more? Why can't we build more? Why can't we understand the same phone call that we made to ensure that that dog that we saw tied up to the tree in the middle of the blizzard, and we wanted to ensure that that dog was okay, and we should do that? And if we don't have enough compassion when we ride past a man stumbling in the snow that same day, and we don't make a phone call to ask an officer to drive by and just make sure that he or she is okay, we've seared our conscience. What's wrong with us when we can't fully see people, regardless of their backdrop, their background, or what perceived mistakes you believe they may have made? Because you don't have to do anything wrong to be evicted in this country. All you have to have is a health crisis. What pummels people into crisis? The two number one things: separation from a partner through death, divorce, or someone walking out the door. And the other one, which is number one, a health crisis. And I'll be honest with you, I'll say this time and time again. I do my best in taking care of my obligations, but if I thought that another round of chemo or radiation would keep my loved one here another year, I'll watch my finances go backward. I wouldn't have a second thought about it. You could drag my car out of the driveway and repossess it. You can put an orange sticker on my doorpost and say foreclosure. I would still make that decision to take care of my loved one. And that's the place many people are in this country.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that that was, you taught me so much. That was, wow. Because I mean, I feel like I think about that a lot, like the comparison with the animals, like you said. Like, you can see an animal just laying there and needing help, and then we don't do the same for people. Like, nobody really thinks about that. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's really important. We need to like shift our the way we think so that everybody gets help. That's
and the value of human life, the experience of being human, should drive us all. Mm-hmm. Ralph Emerson said it this way: people only see what they have been prepared to see. You and I don't even get a chance to see what we want to see. We see what we have been prepared through the stuff we've read, through the algorithms on our social media, through the echo chambers we listen to, through the stereotypes that have been force-fed through television and mass media. And we don't see each other as fully human. We want individuals to understand that we see you. Sawubona, South African greeting. I see you, and I welcome you to my world.
It was really a pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you.
You taught so much, and you just, I don't know, everything that I learned today, I'm gonna pass it on and make sure that everybody knows the resources available. So you said projectnow.org?
Absolutely, and go there, and it's all listed, from weatherization to the housing effort, rental assistance to down payment assistance, water assistance. Everything we have is for our community. And if there is a particular need that is growing, we can bend in that direction. My job primarily is lead the effort to bring poverty to functional zero. And what that means, it could be transportation. It could be reentry services for men and women coming out of incarceration, which we provide now. It could be medical respite for those that are experiencing homelessness coming out of the emergency room. Where do they go to heal? When you can't live in the emergency room, they're going to put you out. Mm-hmm. That is the response. Once they get you to a stable commitment, they walk you out the door. Where do you go to have your bandages checked if you are unhoused? So we have a medical respite house. So when they're unhoused, they come there and the nurse comes and checks, make sure that the medication is kicking in, the bandages aren't soiled, and they change those things. And then once they're healthy enough, then we try to get them into the housing units that we have. We have street outreach teams that go and traverse all throughout the community looking for those who are unhoused. We don't wait for them to come to us, we go to them. And if they're ready, we put them in and we start the continual care. We oversee 15 counties of homeless shelters on the Illinois side. So if, regardless of where a person is or what they believe they may qualify for, start with a call, walk in, and we'll start right there.
All right, cool. You heard it here. ProjectNow.org. You are in great hands, as you can see. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This
means a lot to us to have these conversations.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Now we turn our focus to the issue of health. Jasmine Butler talks with Ebony Bailey with the Iowa Black Doula Collective. The organization has helped support over 100 families throughout Iowa and wants to help grow an understanding of the importance of the birthing process, especially for Black women.
Today I have Ebony Bailey, who is the co-founder and executive director of Iowa Black Doulas. Ebony, thank you for joining us today, and welcome to Real Conversations and back to the Quad Cities.
Thank you.
So explain to us the role of doulas and why it's so important to have doulas in our community.
Okay, so I'm glad that you asked me this question because oftentimes people confuse doulas with midwives. A doula is a trained professional that provides physical, emotional, and educational support. So during the pregnancy, during the birth, and then also during the postpartum period. But there are several different types of doulas. So within the collective, we have birth doulas that will show up and support you when you're in labor. They also meet with you and do childbirth ed, and we'll go to prenatal appointments with you and then help you in the immediate postpartum period. And we have postpartum doulas who are with you just after you've delivered the baby. And then we also have bereavement doulas. So if a family is experiencing a loss, whether that be a miscarriage or a stillbirth, bereavement doulas come in and help fill in that gap to connect you to community resources, a therapist, photographer, things like that.
Yeah, that's so nice. So when you say like come out, so are they coming to people's homes or,
Yep, so birth doulas or postpartum doulas, prenatal appointments are typically done in the client's home, and that is intentional. That's to build relationship and trust with the family. Mm-hmm. Because oftentimes we're seeing individuals or seeing families where it's not just the birthing person. It's also the auntie, it's also the grandma who is wanting to be involved and will be involved. And so I call it the village. Mm-hmm. So we always say, we want to meet your village because your village, they're going to be there when we're not there. Mm-hmm. When services have ended and now they're here to kind of pick up the pieces. So we do our prenatal appointments in the client's home. We also go to the prenatal appointments with them to meet their OB and let them know, hey, this person has a doula. We're going to be present at the birth, and we're teaching nutrition, comfort measures, financial education, kind of filling in the gaps wherever they're needed. Mm-hmm. And it's different for every family.
Yeah, I love that. And that's very important, especially for, families, first-time families, or, even those first-time mothers who don't have that village or support system. So I think that's great that you guys actually go in the home and provide all of that information for them, life information. So can you share examples on how Iowa Black Doulas have helped families here in the Quad Cities in our community?
Oh, absolutely. So we've hosted a community baby shower in June where we just asked the community to come out. If you're pregnant, if you've had a baby within the last 8 months, come out. We provided information on therapy for Vera French, We gave out car seats and strollers and diapers and all the things. So we love to do community events and give back to the community in which we're trying to serve. The other part is that we have scholarship funding for families to receive doula support. And that's been really, really impactful within the Quad Cities specifically because we have a lot of doulas here. We have 10 doulas that are right here in the Quad Cities. And so we're able to better build rapport with the providers here, give breastfeeding education. We have a lactation and a mom's support group that meet virtually. So what's unique about the Quad Cities is that we have, which is now Mercy One, formerly Genesis, we have a really good relationship with them. To the point where we have nurses and providers who will pick up the phone and say, hey, we have a family that's in need. Can you get someone to show up? That's really unique to the Quad Cities. We don't necessarily have that in other parts of the state.
So, so I got two questions. So, so in the Quad Cities, you guys, we have doulas here, but where else, like in the state of Iowa, just for our viewers to help understand why it's so important that we have those services here only in the Quad Cities?
Yeah, so we also have doulas in Des Moines, we have Iowa City, we have Waterloo, we have Cedar Rapids, and we have doulas that are in the Quad Cities that cover Dubuque, that also cover Iowa City. So it is not necessarily uncommon for a family to be considered high risk and they have to receive services in Iowa City versus right here in the Quad Cities.
That's great. So then I know you mentioned that like Genesis or Mercy now, they will contact you guys for if there's a family that they feel need your Black doula services. So outside of that, how would someone be able to reach you to say, hey, you know, I want to utilize your service without having that provider reach out to you guys?
Yeah, so provider referrals are key, but social media, our social media platform, our website, we hang up flyers. We try to attend as many community events as possible. So our doulas will show up, we'll set up a table, pass out flyers, all kinds of things. So a lot of it is word of mouth and a lot of marketing on our end.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll definitely have like Facebook. Is that like the most common one?
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram. So what's cool about our website is that you can literally click on a button that says, hey, I'm looking for a doula. You fill out an intake form, and behind the scenes, doulas are matched with you and you're sent an email with the doula's name and their bio based off of your due date, their availability, and your location. So within 30 minutes, you're going to receive an email back saying, here are doulas for you to interview with. And you're typically sent 3 doulas because we also want people to have options. So it's not just this is your doula and you're being assigned someone, because they may not be a good fit for you. And so I want you to be able to interview and really share things that are important to you and unique to your family.
Great. So what piece of advice could you give a mother who hasn't had a doula experience and why they should partake on that experience?
I always say, if you're thinking about it, reach out. I never turn someone away from wanting to have a conversation. You can look on our website, you can see the benefits of having a doula. Lower rates of having a C-section, of needing any type of intervention, higher breastfeeding rates, higher rate of having a successful birth and being happy about your birth outcomes or how your birth went. But for me, it's important for people to understand that they have options. Like, you have rights, your baby has rights, and it's okay for you to ask questions of your providers and really set the expectations. And so one of the things that we always do with every single family is having what I call a birth preference sheet. These are your preferences for a birth, understanding that things may not go 100% of the way that you want them to go, but having a plan puts everybody on the same page. So the providers are knowing what to expect, you're knowing what to expect, the nursing staff, and we could all be kind of speaking the same language.
Yeah, that's great. That's great information too. So any upcoming community events that you want to inform our viewers about?
Yes, we always have events. So every month we have Lachey, our breastfeeding support group, that meets virtually. It's taught by a Black IBCLC, that's a board, international board certified lactation consultant. We have our moms group that also meets virtually. and that is taught by a Black mental health therapist. You can register online. It's free. Anybody is welcome to come from the BIPOC community. We also have a doula training that's happening in October. That will be happening in Des Moines. I'm really excited about that. The collective has, we're always kind of pivoting to meet the needs of the community in which we're serving and also the state. And we know that the numbers are, for mortality, are getting higher within the BIPOC community. So the indigenous community, the Latin community. So we are now changing to a BIPOC collective versus just a Black collective. And which means this will be our first BIPOC doula training. And I'm really excited about that. Looking forward to getting, a fresh cohort of doulas out here to serve the community and address the concerns that we're having.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. And I love that you guys are opening up to, because again, the Quad Cities is more so like a melting pot now.
Yes.
So we have all different race nationalities here. So where everyone is comfortable with someone, I think that that's very important. And I think that that's great that you guys are adding that. So once again, for our viewers, the best way to reach for more information would be Facebook and website.
Yes, absolutely, our website. You can always connect with us via our website. Whether you're looking for a doula, whether you are wanting to become a doula and you'd like to be a part of our next cohort, or if you want to set up a meeting with me, a partnership, things like that, we're always open to partnerships. So by all means, our website is the best way to get in contact with us. If you want to stay up to date on what's happening, you can sign up to receive our newsletter. And you can also follow us on social media, Facebook and Instagram, Iowa Black Doula Collective.
Oh, that's perfect. Ebony, thank you so much for joining us today with Real Conversations, and I look forward to learning and hearing more about the Iowa Black Doula Collective. I know your guys' name is changing, but more in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Getting kids interested in science and technology is the subject for our next conversation. Joshua Blount shares Sam McCullough's vision with STEAM on Wheels.
Sam McCullough is the man behind STEAM on Wheels. While in college, he was a graduate assistant for the School of Engineering at Western Illinois University Quad City campus. Years later, he decided to take his love for engineering and turn it into a safe learning opportunity for young kids. That's how STEAM on Wheels got rolling.
The reason STEAM on Wheels was created is because I wish I had something like this when I was growing up, and I have an engineering background, and so this was like, okay, can I take my work experience with my schooling, and I created this STEAM program.
It already made a difference for one student.
Certain things like math, because I'm not that good at math, but it really does help. Like when I'm trying to think of something, I can really think back to the activities that we do in the STEAM lab, and it will help me in tests, just random quizzes, anything like that.
Since being in operation and partnering with the MLK Center in Rock Island to facilitate his vision through a new STEAM lab, McCullough says he wants to take his vision a step further. He plans to open a home base on 4th Avenue, just a few minutes from the MLK Center.
It's going to be more advanced, and it's going to be a feeder program. So kids that come through this program, once they have the expertise and they're ready to step it up a notch, they can come over to our space. The other STEAM lab will also be a field trip experience as well for schools all around the Quad Cities and near the Quad Cities as well.
You can catch the children doing a range of activities from 3D printing to constructing toy airplanes. Another student says he enjoys learning about electronics.
That all the circuits, you snap the circuits together and you learn how to turn it on.
And with every activity, McCullough says he gets to live through the students.
Honestly, it's me reliving my childhood dream. It's like I see things, I'll say, I wish I would have learned this as a kid. I don't know everything. I like to, I go to look at different conferences. I have conversations with different leaders in the community that can give me tours of their facility, and then that's what helps me create new curriculums.
He says the goal is to show children that they have unlimited options for the future.
I'm not pushing any kid to go into engineering, and I'm not also pushing every kid to go into the trades. This is a neutral ground to just show these kids what is out there, and this is a great tool and a resource for people that have those skill sets to come out and volunteer and speak to these kids and show them what other opportunities are out there.
Wealth isn't measured in monetary terms for our next guest. The kids he helps are learning the game of basketball, but soon will also get a lesson in financial literacy. Here is Tim Stinson with Lonnie Westerfield.
We have the privilege today to have a sit-down conversation with Lonnie Ray. Lonnie Ray Basketball Academy. Looking forward to having a great conversation with you today. And I will tell you, when I looked at your website, there's one thing that stuck out to me here. And it says, we measure our success not just by the number of games we win, but by the positive impact we have on our student lives, you and your team. Which brings up the conversation that I want to have with you about your financial literacy upcoming program that you're having the things. So what motivated you, Lonnie, to launch this financial literacy program at your academy, and why do you believe it's crucial for the young athletes coming through it?
First of all, thank you, and I appreciate you sitting down and having this conversation with me. It's very important so everybody can understand what we're really doing.
Yes.
What we're doing is very important. I found out from where I come up and some situations that I got involved in as a kid. There's some things I didn't know. Then later in life, I consider myself as being successful. I got what you call successful freedom. And that carries on to a lot of different elements in life, right? I think it's important for kids to understand, which a lot of kids won't get. So since I was able to get that, I've always believed that whatever I get, it's very important for me to be able to share that information. So I came to the conclusion, I said, I got to be able to get to the position where I can share this with these other kids. I think it can be important in them also.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's what really encouraged me from that point on.
Okay.
Sharing something that I was given.
Mm-hmm.
That is very important in my life and to my success.
All right. I love that opportunity. You have that knowledge, and a lot of people have a lot of knowledge and they don't share. They want to seem to sometimes keep it in. I love that you want to share this things. Can you walk me through some of the key elements of the whole financial literacy curriculum, that you're going to be introducing to the academy?
A couple of things why I think finance is important, because America, finance is important. Small businesses, economically, that's how we thrive, right? So I think it's very important for our kids to understand how important this is and how important it is to develop this stuff, okay? And when we're talking about elements, we don't want to get too deep into trying to teach these young kids, because they get bored and they get tired and they get exhausted and they don't even have any interest no more. So the elements that we do is kind of three components. One of the things that we do is we need to get the kids to learn a skill.
Mm-hmm.
Very important. The skill is what's going to bring the income in. It's the ability to earn stuff. It's our skill that we get. And we learn that at early ages, especially when I was a kid. Working at McDonald's is a skill. I opened a restaurant. I was at McDonald's, I learned a skill, right? It wasn't about the money when I was a kid. It was the skill that was more important than the money. Because the skill helped me later on in life when I got older. I learned how to do things, okay? It gave me a little security when I could learn how to do things with the skill. The second thing is the importance of saving. We're talking about, let's go investing. I think it's very important that we teach kids the importance of investing. When they're investing, what they're investing for. The importance of saving money. These are key elements. This is the most important thing of all things, is right here. And I think that we get looked over a lot. The most important thing of saving money. Why, I ask kids, why is it important for us to save money? Mm-hmm. First thing everybody talk about, and everybody get the misconception of, I want to buy this, I want to do that, I want to have that. That's not the importance of saving money. The big importance of saving money, if you look in certain communities, finances strain cause a lot of health issues. It causes a lot of breakup in families. It causes a lot of stress, which we go to the hospital more, okay? It causes a lot of issues into our family. It's the most important thing I think we need to tackle. And I'll kind of break it down a little bit. When I talk about when I got financial freedom, and I think it's like we're sitting here and we're in an interview, if that roof fall down, it's not gonna cause me any stress, really. As long as nobody hurt, we can continue doing our interview, we'll deal with it, right? Because I created financial freedom. I created money to take care of that emergency, right? And I don't have to go into a stress moment, right? It's taken care of. So what that does with me and my wife and my family, I don't have to take that home now, right? So I think we have to keep an eye on the importance of saving money and then why we do it. And I think that's a real key element for us.
You touched on some of the points here, but I want to go back around to, how do you envision this synergy between basketball and the financial education benefiting these students coming through? Well, talk a little bit.
All right. Now, this is a great point, okay? This is very important. Couple things I want to stress to you. I think a lot of financial programs and institutions, they don't like to really support sporting programs. I myself, you see, it says coach. Well, I'm much more than coach. I'm a mentor to young male figures. I'm a big mentor. I'm a male mentor. I've been doing this over 12 years. I got kids in college now. I got kids that runs their own business. I got actually a kid that's been in my program for years. He's actually my project. He takes care of my projects, maintenance man, okay? So there's other things these kids can do. The important thing with basketball is we get attention, we get the ability to get the kids to come because we got something that they love to do, right?
Right.
So once we got something that they love to do, we can use that, right? Let's use that.
You have their attention now.
Got their attention.
All right.
So they're going to show up, to game time and all that, right? So what I think is important for us to do, we have to slide this information into them, okay? We're talking about following direction, being on time, socializing, going to facilities, seeing different things, vision, they get to see different things. I think we're so much underrated as coaches, and I'm pulling for this. That's something I'm pulling to get more finances for these programs. Because we spend a lot of quality times. Kids need time. Sometimes they need us just to talk to them, listen to them. What better male figure that can be than that coach that's going to see them weekly and weekly? We see a kid on the average at least 3 or 4 times a week. And we're talking about a couple hours at a time. So we build a great relationship with them. So we got to tie the basketball in and get their attention. And what we do, we slide information about life, about finances into it also.
I like
Kind
that.
of slide it in without them even knowing it, right?
But however it takes to get that information in them.
Yes, sir.
I think that's wonderful.
Yes, sir.
What are your goals for the first year with this financial literacy program, and how are you going to measure success?
I've been doing this program in my own way and mentoring these kids for over 12 years.
Okay.
Now we're in a position, how do we get this program started to move where we're able to measure the success instead of knowing the success there, right? Our biggest goal, I believe also, when we're moving something and we want to grow, it's going to start from the inside. So our biggest goal now is to build and connect them with people that are like-minded, great male figures, female figures, male figures, that want to be a part of the community as we connect, because me and my wife can only do so much work, okay? We only can reach so many. So we're really stepping back and we're building the foundation. Sometimes we have to step back. We have to step back and see what our mistake was during our journey. We get to come back. We get to see where we're at. And one of our things I think we need to build from inside. We're looking for great-minded people that think just like us. And we're going to be very patient at this, right?
Right.
Great things takes great patience. We have to be calm and relax and let it grow itself. When it comes, it'll be ready, okay? I went on vacation. Actually, I got married in Jamaica. And I looked in a room, there wasn't any clock. She said, "You're on vacation, no time." So I'm learning that when I do things, as long as I'm proceeding every day, there's no time. There's no time.
I understand. I like stepping back a little bit. Like you said, it's, you and your wife can only do so much. And it reminds me of, it takes a village.
Yes.
It's just not 1 or 2 people. It's just not coach and wife, all coaches.
Yeah.
you need other people to step in too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. That sounds good. Sounds good. What else would you like to, closing things up here, and I wish we had a little more time to get a little deeper into everything and even into the, basketball academy and some of your other endeavors that you're doing, but I know we want to focus on the financial literacy. What would you like to leave our viewers with? What kind of information?
A couple things that I always tell kids, and something that I go by. I go quite often, I speak to kids, and one of the things I always tell them to look in the room, and I tell them to look at each other. And I always tell them, if you look around your community, there's no one in this room, there's no one in the whole world like you. I said, there's something unique about you. It's only one of you. I said, you have to take yourself and treat yourself as you're unique, okay? I carry that with me because I'm not expecting, and I don't want to get discouraged because of someone's not doing something according to the way I want them to do it. Because I've learned that they can't do it because it's only one of me, okay? So it gives me a lot of, keep me positive in life a little bit more. I don't want to discourage us much. And one of the biggest things I think I can leave you with is I was afraid of what I would call the unknown. I think in the world we really are afraid of the unknown. One of the things that was unknown to me that I was so afraid of was success. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it looked like. I was comfortable with what was in my environment, that what was given to me. And this is the way I was comfortable, and this is what I was thinking life should be. But once I got a taste of success, I'm like, wow, this is wonderful over here. So I don't want people to be afraid of the unknown, because in order for us to have success, we have to go and we have to deal with the unknown, because it's something that's new to us. Okay? And then once we get it, I'm hoping that in order for us to keep growing as individuals, if you want more information, you share that information. That information is given to you but not to keep. It's given to you for you to share only. And we'll leave it with that.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Let's leave it with that. Lonnie, I appreciate the time. More information, you can find Lonnie Ray's Academy online. And we look forward to possibly having a little more discussion with Lonnie later. Thank you.
Thank you.
This episode of Real Conversations is brought to you in collaboration with the Lincoln Center. You can catch previous episodes on kwqc.com. I'm Janaea Houston, and thank you for joining us.